Hi guys, I'm Anita and I'm back with another video, and today it's time for the hopeful book tag. I'm as comfy as I can be. I know that Rhea talked about how you're supposed to wear the comfiest of your comfiest clothes. I'm wearing what I'm sleeping in, so I feel like that's good enough. I also have my mug of tea that I just made right here, which I'm super happy about. And I have my foam bananas, which I've been enjoying the past couple of days. Anyway, let's get into the questions. This tag was created by Rhea from the book Finch. She also tagged me in her video. And obviously I want to do this tag because we all need some hope and hopefulness and happiness in our lives, especially with everything going on around the world these days. Both political and also natural catastrophes that are happening these days. I think that it's nice to have something to look forward to, something to be hopeful about. And so this tag was one I was looking forward to do very much. I will make sure to leave the link to the original video down below, as well as it will be in the cards up here if you prefer, whatever. But you definitely should go and check out Rhea's channel, if not else just for that tag, and find out how much of an amazing person she is. So this tag has 7 different questions, so let's get into them. And the first one is a book world that you'd like to live in. And I thought a lot about this one because I read a lot of dark stuff that I don't want to be part of. I mean, who doesn't want to go to Hogwarts, just going to the school? But that's a bit of a cliche answer. And she was talking about the Shire in the Lord of the Rings universe, and I would love to go there as well, but I haven't read those books, that book, so I can't really talk about those. But I've been thinking about it, and I would actually really enjoy visiting the Discworld. I think that Ankh-Morpork would be a pretty funny place to be, and there's a lot of interesting things going on, and I would really like to be with the witches, Granny Weatherwax and Nanny Oak. They always have some really interesting things going on, and if I could be taught by them to do witch stuff, that would be cool as well. Question number 2 is a romance that left you mushy on the inside. I read quite a lot of romance, and I think that a lot of romances can be really good, but sometimes they're really far between. But a book that I finished lately that I was really loving, and I love the romance, that was Cold Tea by Mariana Zapata. I gave that book 5 stars actually. It was kind of surprising to me, but I really loved that book. And the romance was such a slow burning romance that I really could get by. It seemed really natural. It started out with them actually being a little annoyed with each other, but then they became friends, and then that evolved into a romantic relationship, and I just really appreciated the time it took for them to develop this relationship. And yeah, it definitely was my favorite OTP I've read recently. I probably could come up with others, but since it was a recent read, I wanted to add it. Question number 3 is a friendship that we should all aspire to have. I have a couple of friendships that I really enjoy, that I think are really good and healthy, but one of my favorites, I mean, I can't not think about Fitz and the Fool. I know that a lot of people also ship them as a romantic couple, which I understand because, yeah. But as they're not canon, and yeah, I just enjoy their friendship a lot. I think they go to great lengths in order to make sure they're okay, both of them. And they have such an interesting relationship, friendship, that I just don't think that I could not think about that. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna go with that one. Question number 4 is an intermission. Insert a picture of your pet or the cutest animal picture you could find. I don't have any pets because I'm not allowed to have pets in my apartment. However, my parents do have a cat, and I will share a couple of pictures of her. She's adorable. She's a rescue actually. My parents got her when she was like, I think 8 weeks old. She was running along on the streets, so she was rescued by my sister's boyfriend's parents actually. Quite a long way out, but they couldn't have her because they had a dog that wanted to eat her. And my parents didn't have any cats at the time, so they didn't hesitate to say they'd like to take her in, and So yeah, the rest is history. I love her. I was actually living at home with my parents, not like sort of in between some apartments at the time when we got them back in 2013. Those I was a month or something, and so the first couple of weeks it was actually me that took care of her the most because I was home and my parents weren't. They were at a job and stuff like that. So I have a bit of a connection to her, and she's the cutest thing ever. Question number 5 is a character in a leadership role that inspires you. See, this is actually a difficult question. So it was definitely a lot more difficult for me to find something for this one. I'm thinking that I could go with, I don't know if, because he's not exactly a leader of the group as a whole, but the way that he's been guiding and teaching and stuff all of his life really is something that I think is quite remarkable, and that is Burridge from the Realm of the Elderlings universe, also a Robin Hobb character. He is such a good father figure and guidance thing for Fitz all through the books. I know that there's some things that he doesn't do that's completely correct, but he always has his best intentions at heart when he does things, and he's definitely a good father figure. And so I don't know if he's a specific leader. He's not, but I'll also say in the Chicagoland vampire universe, her grandfather is a leader of this secret group that is trying to solve these occult things. So in the police department, sort of their own thing that is highly secretive, what they're doing. But he definitely is an interesting leader of this group, and I think that he could be one that one could inspire to be like. And he's, yeah, both. He's also a good leader for the main character in ways, but mostly just for the crew that he's part of. And yeah, I thought that was actually a really good lead. And question number 6 is recommend 6 books that fills you with hope. This has definitely been my most difficult question to answer, because I read so many things that can be a little dark and twisted and not very hopeful at times. So let's see, what can I find? Hopeful books, but it doesn't necessarily have to be fantasies, or not necessarily fantasy. That helps me. The first book that I'd actually like to put in here is one that I read. It might make you go through some emotions, but the actual message that the book comes out with is one that has stuck with me and one I can relate to a lot. And I think that everyone, parent or children's, or also people who've dealt with these sort of things, should read, and that is Wanda by R.J. Palacio. This is a book that deals a lot with bullying, and since I myself have experienced bullying, it was something that was easy to relate to what he was going through, even though that his was a little more severe because he had multiple procedures to his face over his childhood, so his face was pretty deformed. It didn't look like everyone else, so he's trying to hide himself behind a mask a lot of the time when he was outside, and he was homeschooled until he was 10 years old, and so he started in middle school for the first time, so being surrounded by others, and so he's basically thrown in there and has to deal with a lot of different things. But I think that the way that the author explored this and showed it from so many different perspectives, I really enjoyed. There was a perspective of his sister as well, who sometimes was a little bit forgotten in the whole thing because they wanted to do as much as they could to make sure that Augie was comfortable and Augie was paid attention to, so she was forgotten sometimes. And I think that the whole way that everything was handled was really interesting, and the ultimate message towards the end was just really amazing, and I think everyone should read it. It's one that I still think about a lot. And also, if you just want to go for a laugh, just have fun while reading, then I would definitely suggest the Discworld books again, because they're full of laughter, full of humor, and not too dark and grinchy, and a lot of interest, great people, and there's a lot of hope in parts of this world at least. And so I definitely recommend any of the Discworld books, but if anyone in particular, I'd say you could start out with Equal Rights and work your way through that, or you can start with the City Watch or whatever of the sub-series you'd like to, but I always suggest just reading it from the beginning with The Color of Magic, because that way you'll experience it in it's a publication order, and some of the things you can read them mostly separately, but I think the sub-series are best read in chronological order, at least. So yeah, definitely would recommend reading any of those. So yeah, the final book that I will recommend to everyone is Simon vs. the Homo Sapiens Agenda. This is another contemporary that I've read that I just really love, and I love the messages in this one, and I think that the friendships, the family relationships, and the romantic relationship is something that everyone should read about. It leaves a lot of hope for this for this world, and it definitely, I think, portrays the LGBT community in a great way. So yeah, that would be my third answer for this one. So not a lot of fantasy, but fantasy tends to be a little bit gritty, and so I'm not gonna go with that. Let's get into this final thing, and that is question number 7, to tag people. So I'm going to be tagging Becky from Beck's books, Riley from Rmfickfack, Connor from Connor O'Brien, and Dane from Dane Reads, and Rachel from Kalanadi. And anyone else who wants to do this tag, definitely go and do it. And hopefully I'll see each and every one I've tagged to doing this tag. We all need more hope in our lives, so hopefully this has inspired you to do this tag. Definitely let me know in the comments down below any hopeful books that you'd like to recommend to me that I should read. Also, if you decide to do the tag and you've not been tagged, definitely let me know about it in the comments, and I will go and watch it. And if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video very, very soon. Goodbye!